Once upon a dark night in an unlit city, the smell of blood wafted through the air. The dreaded Dracula had struck again, draining another one of his victims and leaving their body on the cold, hard ground for the townsfolk to see when the morning crested above the horizon. Now that I've grasped your attention, I would like to tell you what my history paper is about. My history paper is about Vlad Dracul, otherwise known as Vlad the Impaler. First, in order to understand why this tyrant is called Vlad the Impaler, we need to dive down into the history of him to understand what brought him to this position. Vlad was born in a town known as Sigorza, Transylvania, to Vlad Dracul II. He went by the name Vlad Tempest or Vlad Dracul III, and he was the second out of four brothers. In an effort to keep his father, Vlad Dracul II, loyal to the Ottoman Empire, Vlad and his brother Radu were imprisoned and later trained in the cultures and customs of the Ottoman Empire in an effort to keep them loyal to the Ottoman Empire as well. However, for Vlad, this only added to his hatred for the Ottoman Empire. He would later on become the ruler of Wallachia after his father and elder brother were both slain, and later he swore to avenge his death after he discovered they were killed through information that was told by the noble families and the encouragement the noble families brought to them to have them slain. He earned the nickname of Vlad the Impaler because he was ruthless. He would sit there and impale his enemies literally from straight up the colon. There is no easier way to put that. And to make matters even more worse, that showed that he was so ruthless and terrifying, he would drink upon the blood of his enemies. Hence why they called him Dracula. And he would later on go down and capture two of the Ottoman Empire's envoys, impaling them to show his hatred for this Ottoman Empire, because the leader of the Ottoman Empire wanted Vlad to come and pay homage to him in person. But just because Vlad was ruthless, it did not mean he did not know how to love. He had love for his wives and his children, and especially for one of his lovers, and that was Catherine Seigel, who they were unable to get married, and this was thought to be Vlad's one true love. So, Vlad inadvertently was killed in 1476 by Basarab Leosha through support of the Ottoman Empire. They had decapitated and chopped up Vlad's body, bringing his head to the Ottoman Empire. And it is thought that he was killed in December. Now, they do not have an actual birth date, nor do they have an actual death date, just a death year. And that, like I said, is 1476. There is a small fact about Vlad the Impaler that many people might not know, but it is assumed that Bram Stoker wrote his movie Dracula, and he was the inspiration for the character Dracula. So, from being captured as a child in order to keep his father in line, to being trained in the customs by the same people who captured him, it is easy to see how one could become ruthless and have such a deep hatred for a whole entire empire that they had no fear of impaling them and drinking their blood. As the sun rises upon the horizon, our bloodthirsty tyrant begins to fade into a pile of ash. Will this be the last of the one known as Dracula? Who knows?